The year was 1942. The world was deep in the turmoil of World War II, and every piece of metal was vital for the war effort. Steel, copper, and even bronze were being redirected from the US Mint to military factories to make ammunition and weapons. Yet, amidst all that chaos, a small, humble coin was struck, the 1942 Lincoln penny, a coin that today can fetch up to $185,000 under the right conditions. At first glance, the 1942 Lincoln penny looks just like any other cent. It carries the classic design created by Victor David Brenner, Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing strength and prosperity. But the real story lies in what this coin represents, a turning point in American numismatic history. During this time, the US Mint was experimenting with new materials to conserve copper for wartime use. While most 1942 pennies were made of the traditional bronze alloy minus 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a few extremely rare test coins were struck in steel and other experimental compositions. These rare pieces are the ones that collectors dream of finding. Some 1942 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on silver plankets used for dimes, while others were struck on experimental zinc-coated steel plankets that would later become standard in 1943. These minting errors are what make the 1942 penny so valuable. A genuine error penny from this year, verified by professional grading services, has been known to sell for up to $185,000 at auction. Imagine holding a penny that was accidentally made on dime metal, a coin literally worth thousands of times its face value. But not every 1942 penny is rare. Millions were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The key is to look for unique variations, mint marks, and unusual metal composition. For example, if your 1942 penny sticks to a magnet, it might be one of those rare steel or zinc test strikes. If it has a silvery tone or weighs slightly less than the standard 3.11 grams, it could be worth sending to a grading company like PCGS or NGC. Collectors and dealers alike are constantly searching for these rare survivors, the ones that slipped through the mint's careful quality control during wartime experiments. Condition also plays a huge role in the value of a 1942 Lincoln penny. A coin in mint state condition, especially with a proof-like finish or full details on Lincoln's portrait and the wheat ears, can reach extraordinary prices. The highest reported sale, over $185,000, came from a near-perfect, uncirculated 1942 penny struck on the wrong metal planchet. For collectors, this coin is more than just a mistake. It's a snapshot of history, a rare relic of a time when every ounce of metal was precious, and every cent truly counted. Today, the 1942 Lincoln penny continues to capture the fascination of numismatists worldwide. It represents both craftsmanship and chance, a blend of human ingenuity and error that created one of the rarest. The story of the 1942 Lincoln penny begins during one of the most challenging times in American history, World War II. In 1942, the US Mint faced a major problem. Copper, the main metal used in pennies, was urgently needed for wartime production. The government needed every bit of copper for bullets, shell casings, and electrical equipment. As a result, the mint started experimenting with alternative metals to replace copper in coinage. This decision would lead to one of the most interesting and valuable chapters in US coin history, the creation of the rare and extraordinary 1942 Lincoln penny varieties. The 1942 Lincoln penny was part of the iconic Wheat Penny series, featuring the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and to wheat stalks on the reverse, representing prosperity and national strength. Most pennies from that year were still made of bronze, a mix of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, but some very rare experimental pieces were struck using different metals. These include pennies mistakenly minted on steel or even silver dime plankets. These experimental or error coins were not meant for circulation, but a few escaped the mint and found their way into the hands of the public. What makes the 1942 Lincoln penny so valuable is a combination of history, rarity, and error. The rarest examples were those struck on the wrong metal plankets, coins that were never supposed to exist. One 1942 penny, for instance, was struck on a dime silver planchet, creating a unique color and lighter weight than usual. These rare minting errors are the ones that can fetch staggering prices at auction, reaching up to $185,000 for well-preserved examples. It's this element of mystery and chance that fascinates collectors, knowing that a simple penny could turn out to be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The majority of 1942 pennies were produced at three mints: Philadelphia no mint mark, Denver marked with a small d, and San Francisco marked with an S, while regular bronze coins from these mints are common and generally worth only a few cents to a few dollars. Any 1942 coin with unusual metal color, weight, or magnetic attraction could be something extraordinary. A genuine steel or silver 1942 penny would immediately stand out. It would look silvery and might even stick to a magnet. Unlike regular bronze cents, these rare coins, when authenticated by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can change a collector's life overnight. Condition is another crucial factor when determining value. A circulated coin may hold historical significance, but an uncirculated or proof-like specimen with sharp details and no wear commands much higher prices. The most valuable 1942 penny ever recorded, a perfect, uncirculated example, struck on the wrong planchet, sold for over $185,000 at auction. This shows how a small error in the mint can turn into a priceless piece of history. Collectors today are still searching.
Did you know that a single 1965 Lincoln penny, yes, a humble 1-cent coin, once sold for a staggering $187,000? That's not a typo. It's real, and the story behind it will leave you speechless. Most of us overlook pennies. They jingle in our pockets, collect dust in drawers, and often end up forgotten. But what if one of those seemingly insignificant coins held the key to a fortune? Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1965 Lincoln cent, a coin that appears ordinary, but hides secrets that continue to amaze collectors, investors, and historians alike. We'll uncover why the 1965 penny became the center of numismatic fascination, how a rare specimen reached a six-figure price at auction, and what to look for in your own collection. This isn't just about a coin, it's about a chapter in American monetary history, full of unexpected turns, government decisions, minting anomalies, and a once-in-a-lifetime era that turned copper into gold, metaphorically speaking. Let's rewind the clock and go back to a critical turning point in U.S. coinage. The mid-1960s were a turbulent time for U.S. coinage. By 1965, the country was facing an unprecedented coin shortage. The rising price of silver had created chaos. Coin collectors and the public were hoarding silver coins, especially dimes, quarters, and half dollars. As a result, businesses were struggling to make change, and the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to keep coins circulating. To address the crisis, the government made a bold decision. In 1965, they eliminated silver from dimes and quarters completely and reduced it significantly in half dollars. For cents, the composition stayed the same to 95% copper, 5% zinc, but big changes were coming to the way coins were dated and struck. One of the key changes, the suspension of mint marks. From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins to discourage hoarding and reduce pressure on the minting facilities. This means that every 1965 penny looks like it was minted in Philadelphia, even if it wasn't. This effort at coin standardization would unintentionally set the stage for one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents ever struck. Let's break down the standard 1965 Lincoln penny. It features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse hasn't changed much over the decades. The reverse in 1965 still bore the Lincoln Memorial. Designed by Frank Gasparo, introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat ears design. The standard specifications were composition 95% copper, 5% zinc, weight 3.11 grams, diameter 19.05 millimeters, edge plain. Tens of millions of 1965 Lincoln cents were struck, over 1.49 billion to be exact, all without mint marks. So what made one of them worth $187,000? The answer lies not in what the coin was supposed to be, but in what it accidentally became. As with many famous coin discoveries, this coin didn't surface in a government vault. It was found by a collector, a dedicated numismatist with a sharp eye and a bit of luck. Reportedly, the coin was part of a private collection, forgotten in a small estate in the Midwest. The owner had passed away, and the heirs, not fully aware of what they had, brought the collection to an appraiser. That's when the coin caught someone's eye. It was lighter. It rang differently when dropped. It shined like no other 1950 penny should. It was then submitted to a major grading company, PCGS, and authenticated. The grade? 1,000 to 67, nearly perfect. The confirmation? A 1 of 1, never seen before error. And the value? At auction, it blew past expectations and hit the magical $2 million mark. Chapter 5. Why collectors go wild for error coins. You might wonder why an error would increase the value of a coin. Shouldn't a mint mistake make it less desirable? Actually, it's the opposite. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. And nothing is rarer than a coin that was never meant to exist. Collectors prize error coins because they represent freak events in the meticulous world of minting. Double dies, off-center strikes, planchette errors, wrong metal strikes. These anomalies are stories frozen in metal. The 1950 off-metal Lincoln penny is the crown jewel of these anomalies. It has the date, the design, the look of a standard penny, but the soul of something completely different. Chapter 6. The mystery deepens. How did this error happen? There's no official record of the mint striking Lincoln cents on silver plankets in 1950. Some speculate that it may have been struck during a period of foreign coin production, when the U.S. Mint was contracted to produce coins for countries like the Philippines, Cuba, and others. Others believe it was a test strike that accidentally made its way out of the mint. Some whisper it could have been a deliberate creation, a so-called mint mule, smuggled out by an insider. The truth, we may never know, but that's part of what makes this coin so compelling. The mystery adds to its legend. Chapter 7. The legacy of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny has been in continuous production since 1909, the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. It has seen wars, economic booms and busts, cultural revolutions, and technological changes. The 1950 silver strike stands among the giants, alongside the 1943 copper cent, the 1969S double die, and the 1909 SVDB. It's not just a coin, it's a legend. Chapter 8. Could you find one too? Now you might be wondering, could there be more of these out there? It's possible. The U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents over the decades, and only a fraction have been closely examined by professional graders. If another 1950 penny struck on a silver planchette exists, it could still be sitting in someone's collection, a penny jar, or a forgotten drawer. Welcome back, coin enthusiasts and curious. Welcome to an extraordinary journey into the world of American numismatics, where history, rarity, and a touch of mystery converge in the form of a single small copper coin. Today, we dive deep into the captivating story of the 1978 Lincoln penny, a humble coin with an astonishing secret. One example of this coin has stunned collectors worldwide with a price tag of $167,000 US. How can a common coin from the late 1970s become a prized treasure worth a small fortune? What secrets does this coin hold? And how can you spot one that might be hiding in your own pocket change? Buckle up, because this isn't just a tale about a coin, it's a journey through American history, minting technology, collector culture, and the hidden gems that sometimes lie in plain sight. Chapter 1. The Context: America in 1978. To understand the 1978 Lincoln penny, we need to step back into the year it was struck. 1978 was a year of transition. Jimmy Carter was president, inflation was a concern, and the Cold War continued to cast its shadow. Amid these larger global narratives, the U.S. Mint quietly produced billions of Lincoln cents coins that would be passed from hand to hand, barely noticed, until one of them became legendary. These were the last pennies to feature the Lincoln Memorial reverse before a pivotal change in the early 1980s, when the composition of the coin itself would shift from bronze to a copper-plated zinc core. In many ways, 1978 was the final chapter of an era. Chapter 2. Design and Specifications. The Lincoln Cent, introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had remained largely unchanged for decades. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln with the simple inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1978. The reverse, created by Frank Gasparo, displays the Lincoln Memorial, replacing the original wheat ears in 1959, marking Lincoln's 150th birthday. In 1978, the penny was still composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. But this seemingly ordinary coin would produce one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever known. Chapter 3. The Coin That Shocked the World. $167,000. Let's talk about the legend. The 1978 Lincoln penny that fetched $167,000 at auction. What made it so special? This wasn't just any 1978 penny. It was struck with extraordinary precision. Graded MS6 7+ red by PCGSN ultra-rare grade for this year and type. But it wasn't just the grade. This specimen also displayed what collectors believe to be unique strike characteristics, potentially the result of a transitional error, planchet anomaly, or die state that set it apart from the billions of other pennies minted that year. It may have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, or it may have exhibited double dies or even off-metal errors.